I feel like we're living in a world where it's almost becoming impossible to tell the difference between what is real and what is not. And I'm not just talking about like AI and deep fakes and things of that nature. I'm talking about we live in a day and age where the ideas that people are entertaining, the sort of ideologies that people are picking up and actually believing in are so ridiculous, so crazy, so smooth brained that you can't tell whether somebody is just, it's like, if it's satire, if it's reality. Are they making this up or do they actually believe this? And so, when I came across this video and I saw the title, I thought to myself that surely there's no damn way. This has to be satire. So as far as right now, before we get into it, I'm taking it at face value to say that this is probably somebody making fun of this idea. But unfortunately, I also have to hold out a side of me that says, bruh, people are that nutty nowadays. So without further ado, let's find out, shall we? Let's see if we can discern reality from fiction.
My son has identified as a cat for the past 7 years. And
let me run that back. Yeah.
My son has identified as a cat for the past 7 years, and now all of a sudden he's telling me he doesn't think he's a cat anymore. He thinks he wants to be human. He's identified as a cat since he was 7 years old, and now he's 14, almost 15, and all of a sudden he says he wants to be human. I have trained this guy to use the litter box. I have made sure I've made food for him that is safe for both cats and humans to eat. I have gone to lawyers to try to get him to where he can go visit a veterinarian instead of a pediatrician. And now all of a sudden, he's no longer trans species. After I've advocated for all these rights and, I got the litter box in the schools and everything, I'm
not gonna lie. She almost had me. She almost had me until the fourth quarter, damn it. She almost got me there because let's be real. How many times have we heard this exact same conversation had about a little boy who's a little girl who's a little boy? The part that honestly gets me overall is that, the fact that they transitioned back, right? Usually it's a story of if the child actually wants to go back to what they actually are, the parents will resist it because oftentimes the parents are sociopathic individuals, or the doctors will resist it because they are sociopathic individuals. So that right there is kind of a tell, right? It's like, okay, y'all just let this kid go ahead and be human again after come on now. There's going to be some resistance from the system. The other part that kind of got me here is the fact that, although she has the eyes, she definitely got that down. Maybe she's been practicing. She's got the eyes down, You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Them psychosis eyes. You probably got a family member who hits you with them eyes sometimes and you got to make way, make space, right? But the other part that got me is, honestly, it's because I choose not to believe. I'm sorry. I can't. I know they're the furries. I know they have conventions down there at the local Ritz-Carlton, right? I've seen the TLC shows. I know this exists. Like there are grown ass human beings meowing around, right? All fours. Just look, if you're a furry watching this right now, get some help. I know it's coming off real judgy, but get some help. But yeah, I guess it's just the denial of me that's like, no way. So maybe again, she will confirm that I am indeed correct. Hopefully.
Upset. Like, I love him still, of course, but like, I'm a little upset because I'm just like, has society influenced you into thinking you're a human again? Like, why don't you want to identify as a cat anymore? That's my baby, Have any other trans species?
Yeah, this got to be satire. All right, well, yeah. We'll keep it rolling there. Okay. We are now in a day and age where you see something like that and you would actually think to yourself that this is reality. And she did a hell of a job. Kudos to you. That was accurate. That was dead ass. But yeah, I mean, again, I want to believe I don't live in a world where parents are like this, but we are indeed living in a time where parents are having their children They're 6, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds chemically castrated in order to fulfill some sort of whacked out ideology. You know, it's this woke agenda or this woke ideology has become a new form of religion, and dare I say a cult religion, because it doesn't necessarily have its grounding and foundations in something that is going to be uplifting, but instead it is of control, coercion, and manipulation. Now, of course, religion can be used for the same context, right? Christianity throughout time has been used for coercion and control, but I would say the religion in and of itself, the faith in and of itself, is not inherently that. It is the human that takes it and makes it that. Whereas when it comes to this Marxist type of ideology, this communist ideology that we now call woke, it looks to control and manipulate. That is its foundation, right? It's all about coercion. It's all about bullying people into, thinking like it thinks and doing what it wants to be done and serving it. And it is never satiated. It is never satisfied. Yesterday, I started watching, I think it's called Wild West or Wild Orange West, whatever the hell. It's an Osho documentary on Netflix. And I've watched a host of different documentaries on these cults and things of that nature. But the reason I have such a fascination is because I came from, deeply fundamental religious background. My wifey, she came from, a cult herself. And so actually a way more severe cult, I would say. And in those experiences, what I've seen is this. There's no limit to how far this thing actually goes. If you know of Jonestown, you know that people would quite literally off themselves. And so when it comes to understanding this thing that we're dealing with known as the quote unquote woke mind virus, it is to know that it has no end. It has no extent. It has no limit. So you can't give into it at all. It has to be eradicated from you and within your own system, but it has to be eradicated from society as a whole. There's no space for it. It's not like, again, a religion where somebody can practice it in private. It needs to conquer. It needs to divide. It needs to seep into the rest of society and to bully society into being its way. It needs to destroy. That is Marxism at its core. It is to eradicate all the systems that are currently standing because they are the systems of the quote unquote oppressor. And therefore, the oppressed must become, the ones in that place of power. You ain't got an oppressive bone in your body. You're just trying to get by. You're trying to live your life. But because you're the white man, you're the oppressor. Because you are white adjacent, you're the oppressor. And if you're anything other than that, even if you're bombing people, you're doing all types of, fanatical stuff, you're still seen as the oppressed. That's how this game works. And I know it's like, how do we get from a cat to this conversation? Because that's what's underlying. That's why you're able to have this type of satire and it actually hits home. It sounds real because it is real. Is real. Hello, it's a bar. It's real. This is the way people are thinking, moving through life, and doing far worse with their kids. So shout out to her for the comic relief, but the overall messaging is still the same. We got to continue to fight to venture forward. We can't keep ourselves silent in the corner, afraid to combat this thing. It only has life because, frankly, those of us who are the majority, the sane individuals out there, are more afraid of the backlash or have been more afraid of the backlash than we are willing to be courageous and to stand up to this evil. And yesterday, I'm walking down the street. I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. I literally see a horde of these creatures walking down the street, yelling, "Women's rights is Transformers' rights." It was a dude who's pretending to be a chick in the front. Women's rights is Transformer rights, which is a direct contradiction because those quote unquote Transformers rights have been eradicating women's rights and essentially compromising the safety of women. The true feminist, today's true feminist, is the one who stands up for the little girls, who stands up for the women, in opposition to this demonic doctrine known as the woke agenda. Till the next time, peace.